repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Tamir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coon. The white man will go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Amadeus.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Amadeus.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Amadeus.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Amadeus.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Amadeus.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Amadeus.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to the Queen Amadeus Shakur TV show. I'm your host, Queen Amadeus Shakur, and this is your second morning wake-up call. So let's get ready to get black into it. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Okay, be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Also, if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. So with that all being said, let's get into it. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur, TikTok, Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. And please make sure you double check to ensure that you're still subscribed to the channel, specifically if you have not been receiving notifications. All right. And so with that all being said, that Crazy Beach area said, Queen, we didn't hear our remix. Okay. I'm sorry, beloveds. I'm sorry. I didn't want to play both songs because I didn't want to waste time. Okay. We'll play it the next time, though. All right. So let's see who's all in here. Terry Hatin, Ayon, Lillian X, that Crazy Beach Aries, Queen Sam, Bithia, Pearly, Leon Gardner. Okay. Juju B is in the house. All right. Jeff ATL is here. Darnell. All right. So let's get ready to get into it. Juju B, I see you, beloved. All right, Desmond. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Pearly is here. Okay, Ayon. All right, so let's go ahead and get this party started. I'm not going to keep you all too long. Okay. Walaikum salam, Danielle, beloved. Okay, so let's get into it. I see you, Charm, Lillian X. All right, so first things first, let's talk about the shooting that happened at Joel Osteen's church. I was actually supposed to talk about it on the previous live, but because I was pressed for time to get started over here, I just switched up the title and we'll talk about it now. So let's get into it. So a woman who walked into a popular Texas megachurch Sunday afternoon with a long gun and a young child opened fire before she was killed by law enforcement officers on the scene. Now, the gunfire left the child in critical condition and another man was injured, according to authorities. Authorities are now probing the shooting at televangelist and pastor Joel Osteen's church his Lakewood church, roughly 6 miles from downtown Houston. They say the woman, estimated to be between 30 and 35 years old, entered the church shortly before 2 p.m., wearing a trench coat and a backpack, and then opened fire. This is according to Houston Police Chief Troy Finner. They say the shooter died at the scene after 2 law enforcement officers intervened, and she was shot. The young child was hit during the shooting and is in the hospital in critical condition. Prayers up for the young child, okay? I hate for young innocent children to be injured in something like this because someone wants to go on a rampage. Now, it's unclear who fired the shot that injured the child. CNN has reached out to the police for more information. Police have not shared details about the possible motive of the shooting or said what the woman's relationship to the child who accompanied her is. The injured man was shot in the leg and sought treatment at a hospital, according to the police chief. Okay, so I'm going to share the footage because it looks like they have Joel Osteen speaking. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. I'm going to share my screen.
File is open. Snap your W-2 and file your taxes 100% free. Roughly 37% of taxpayers qualify. 1040 and limited credits only. Get the Intuit TurboTax app now.
A terrifying scene at one of America's biggest churches.
I started screaming, "There's a shooter, there's a shooter, there's a shooter."
We hid about 10 of us, 10 adults in a closet. And there was one child in there and no vent, but we were all praying.
An armed woman entered Pastor Joel Osteen's megachurch in Houston on Sunday afternoon and opened fire.
She was armed with a long rifle and a trench coat with a backpack, accompanied by a small child, approximately 4 to 5 years old.
Houston's police chief Troy Finner says 2 off-duty law enforcement agents working security at the church confronted the woman, getting the situation under control.
She's deceased here on the scene. I want to commend those officers. She had a long gun, and it could have been a lot worse. But they stepped up and they did their job. And I want to thank them for that.
However, the child who came to the church with the woman was also shot.
Unfortunately, a 5-year-old kid was hit and is in critical condition at our local hospital.
The chief says it is unclear who fired the shot that struck the child, and the child's relationship to the suspect is still unknown, according to police. The officers involved in the shooting told investigators the woman claimed to have a bomb, but an immediate search found nothing.
We searched her vehicle, our bomb squad, and also the backpack. No explosives were found, but she was also spraying some type of substance on the ground.
Witnesses described a chaotic scene.
My mom was screaming, and then my mom said, "Come, come," and we ducked because while I called my mom, the bullets were still repetitive and they were still going, and the attacks were in the sanctuary.
One bystander was injured.
That was a 57-year-old man who didn't have anything to do with it, I don't think. Was shot in the leg. He's seeking treatment in the hospital.
Pastor Osteen says he's thankful the shooting did not happen earlier in the day.
I can only imagine if it would have happened during the 11 o'clock service. If there's anything good of it, you know what? She didn't get in there and do a whole lot worse damage.
And he's left hoping the decades-old church will continue holding services without another scare like this.
We're going to stay strong. We're going to continue to move forward. And there are forces of evil, but the forces that are for us, the forces of God, are stronger than that.
All nefarious. Okay, so that's just all nefarious. I'm glad you brought that up. Laverne says she was non-black, not much about her looks. Exactly. Ever notice how when it's not one of us, sometimes they don't say the person's race or ethnic group? Do you all remember, and speaking of that, a few years ago, I reported on this man who was harassing young children at the bus stop and trying to abduct them. And when they gave the description that they say the child gave them, they just simply said it was a bushy-haired man. I want you all to pay attention, because when they say a bushy-haired man, that sounds like it could be somebody who's my skin tone, bushy hair. But come to find out, it was not a person of my skin tone. And though the man did have bushy hair, I just find it interesting that they never said what his race was. Please pay attention. Greta Lee said that Joel Osteen is the motivational speaker / preacher. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. He's more so of a motivational speaker rather than a pastor. That's just my take on it as well. Okay, so with that all being said, let's talk about Macy Gray, because Macy Gray's daughter came out and said days ago that the son hit her and the mom. Macy Gray, however, denies it. And so let's get into it. Macy Gray denies daughter's claim that son hit her, confirms family issues, and says he would never. Me and my son love each other. That's what she says. And she says he would never do that. But see, the daughter is the one who made the remarks. They say the 29-year-old wrote in a temporary restraining order request that the sweet baby singer wants Tracy, 28 years old, to be gone, and will confirm that he allegedly had been abusive. This is what the daughter said. Macy Gray denied getting into a physical dispute with her son, Tracy Melvin Hines. Now, the daughter, I think her name is Anisha, is the way you pronounce it, also detailed an argument that took place between the family members last Saturday that she claimed turned physical at one point, causing the police to get involved. They say Tracy got into a physical altercation with my mom. This is what the graphic designer alleged in the filing. She said he followed her and harassed her, as he always does when he drinks. Gray's daughter, Anisha Hines, filed a restraining order request against her brother earlier that week. Now, Anisha claimed that her partner, Cornell Pearson, who is referenced as her fiance in the court docs, tried to intervene, but Tracy then fought him. She says, we waited for the cops to come while he continued to bang on the doors of our rooms looking for confrontation. It sounds like he's out of order. Okay, but Macy Gray said this didn't happen. She said this didn't happen. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see. I'm going to show you the videos of the video footage of Macy denying these allegations, but I absolutely believe it. I don't think the daughter's making this up, okay? I don't think she's just saying this, but I'm going to show you all some pictures. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, of course, you know that's Macy Gray, but this is her son, Tracy, right here. That's her son, Tracy. And this is her daughter. Okay. Now, with that all being said, let's go to the footage of what Macy Gray, in fact, had to say about all of this. Because did he put Paws on her or not? She says that he did not. Says that it was basically an argument. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm pulling up the right receipt. Hold on. I have a lot of uploads on here, beloveds. Wait a second. Oh, my Lord, please don't tell me I didn't upload it. Please don't tell me I didn't upload that video. Hold on. It has to be on here. Hold on, you all. Just give me a minute. Okay, here it is. I was about to say, I know I'm not losing it. At least not yet. Okay.
So I just want to clear this whole thing up about that's going around about my family, talking about my son abuses me and all this stuff. Nothing could be further from the truth. My son has never, ever, 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 would never put his hands on me, wouldn't wouldn't even think about nothing like that, you know. Like that's my dude. Like we would take a bullet for each other, and he's just not that kind of man. Me, I'm a lot of things, but I ain't no victim. Like I ain't gonna be over here, you know, somebody hitting on me. And I don't mean that offensive, you know, to people who are in that situation. I don't mean to sound insensitive, but that's not my family's situation. You know, we're not dealing with that. You know, from jump, so far, didn't file a restraining order. We filed a move-out order. You know, so me and my son get into it sometimes, and, you know, I get really heated and I say, that's it. You're moving out, you know. But he loves his family. He loves his house. You know, he loves where we are. And, you know, he won't move. So, you know, he's 27 years old. I'm just trying to, you know, get my son out in the world, doing his own thing on his own. You know, I'm just trying to get him to grow up a little bit, you know. So, we filed this move-out order, but I guess in California, a move-out order is under the umbrella of a restraining order, so it goes into the system as a restraining order anyway, which we didn't know till after we filed it. But you know, so when you do a move-out order, you have why you want the person to move out. So we put verbally abusive, because me and my son go at it, you know, on both sides. And whoever picked up on this, because it definitely was not intended to go public, so whoever found this and just totally eliminated the word verbal. So it just read abuse. Two completely different things. It went on this journey of my son being physically abusive. But there's not one statement in that document that says that I say, or my daughter says, or anybody says that he ever hit me. So, you know, then they have my daughter, you know, saying all this stuff about her brother, which she just didn't say. You know, that document that everybody's putting their blog on, it is so manipulative and so chopped up and so taken out of context by the time you guys see it, you know. And I just want to say to all the blogs, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. Not one of you have reached out to me or my son or my daughter or anybody close to us to get your facts straight. So, you know, and I got 4 words for you. Defamation. Because you got me and my family out here looking crazy on something that just, I mean, we just don't get down like that. Like, you know, we got other problems. We got 99 problems, but that ain't one of them. You know what I mean? And you know, I adore my son. And that's just not anything. You know, we had a really rough day. Because it's causing a lot of problems. It's humiliating for us, and especially for my son, who's being painted as this person who goes around hitting his mom. And, you know, so it's been difficult. And it's based on something that just didn't happen. It just didn't. So I just wanted, and I'm pissed off because I when the story first came out, I immediately denied it. And I think I've seen only maybe 2 blogs that have posted the fact that it's not true, you know, or even just that I'm denying it. So I'm posting again because I want this to get around as much as possible, because I want it known, you know, the facts, what actually happened from the people who were there and are living it. And I'm gonna keep posting it till it gets right, because it's just not cool. And anyway, thank you for listening.
Well, that ended abruptly. I'm sorry. You all are terrible in the comments. Aeon said, okay, boo, I begrave you. Not I believe you, but I begrave you. That was nefarious, okay? I shouldn't laugh because clearly it's not funny. It's a sad situation. And quite frankly, she's embarrassed. She's embarrassed. And at the end of the day, rightfully so, I'd be embarrassed too if my son put paws on me and everyone found out. So I really think that Crazy Bitch Air said I was going to say that, Queen, okay? And then Greta Lee kept saying, Macy, stop talking, please. You're making it worse. She was. I have not said anything myself. See, here's the thing. In the age of social media, people feel so obligated, I guess, to come out and explain themselves. If something's put out and it's not true, okay, well, just don't give life to it. Because that just makes more and more people talk about it and share the story. Just don't say anything. It's what I would do. That's just me. But at the end of the day, I believe that he absolutely did it. I think that the son probably got mad because she wants his arse out of there. He's 27 years old. Go find your own way. Go live your own life. Especially if you're going to be disrespectful and put paws on people. And here's the thing. She said that the daughter did not say those things. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Because if the daughter didn't say it, who made it all up? Who made it all up? And she said that's defamation. I guarantee you she's not going to sue. See, people love to say something slander or defamation and, oh, I'm going to sue, but they never do. Because the things that have been said are true in most cases. So with that all been said, I don't believe that it's a lie. Why would, even if somebody did make this up, how could they know that her daughter's boyfriend was there and tried to break it up, and then the brother, Tracy, fought him? Who could add those intricate details? Unless it was someone who was actually there on the scene. A journalist couldn't just make that up. The police couldn't just make that up. They'd have to know who was in the home and exactly what happened. Someone had to be there to see that. So with that all being said, I feel bad for her because no son, daughter, especially when you're grown, should not be putting your hands on your parents. That's just not right, especially if you're a man putting hands on your mother. Okay, that's just not right. And if you have to argue with your mother, then you shouldn't be in her home because that's disrespectful and disruptive. Okay, and the thing is, it seems to me like she's trying to low-key protect him, trying to act like he didn't do these things, talking about he's embarrassed and humiliated. He should be if he did it. And I think he did. But this is likely, if he actually did it and she's covering for him, that is a part of the problem. You see, that's what happens. When you give your children too much, you know, the Bible says spare the rod, spoil the child, and that's absolutely true. When you give them too much and you do too much and you allow them to get away with too much, this is the result of that, if it's true. Okay, hey, Reggie. Okay, so with that all being said, let's just move on to the next story because Macy's denying it. I wish it were not true, but I think that it absolutely is. And so with that all being said, now let's talk about the nefarious Mike Epps. This is just a brief clip of Mike Epps going in on Shannon Sharpe. And here's the thing, let me say this. I feel like a lot of people are hating on Shannon Sharpe, specifically other famous podcasters like Stephen A. Smith, Stephen Jackson, just months ago, remember? Or a month ago when Cat Williams' interview broke the internet and set it all ablaze. And they were saying, oh, I wouldn't have let him come on my show and do all that. Oh, I wouldn't have, I'd have reeled it back in and all of that stuff. Okay, at the end of the day, well, that's you. And that's how you would conduct your show. See what they're trying to do, and I want you to pay attention. They're trying to paint the narrative that Shannon Sharpe is allowing these things to happen on Club Shay Shay just for views and clicks so he can, get all these views and stuff. That's what they're trying to say, but the truth of the matter is they're jealous. The truth of the matter is they're not making the money he's making. And in some cases, they've had their podcast longer than he has. And so they don't like it. Okay, they don't like it. And so these are nothing more than some haters who are butthurt because he's broken the internet twice thus far. Okay, and then now with Mike Epps, well, I don't think Mike Epps is hating on Shannon, but what I do think is that he feels some type of way about Cat being on there and breaking the internet like he did. I really think so. That's just my opinion. Now, I could be absolutely wrong, but then again, I could be absolutely right. Okay? Because Mike Epps keeps using this as material for his comedy stand-up. All right? That's what he keeps doing. Remember how he was talking about Cat and Cat's fake Fendi? He was saying Cat had a fake Fendi, which of course it was real. But he says that Shannon asked him to come on the show. Now, I don't know if he's being serious or if he's joking. But anyway, let's go to the footage.
That nigga Shannon Sharpe called me trying to do an interview. I said, no, Medea, I ain't doing no interview. So you can sit across from me and look at my balls. I'll sit down, nigga. I thought he was going to attack Cat, that nigga there. The nigga shit is called Shay Shay. The nigga's telling you. Put a wig on that nigga, tell me if that ain't motherfucking Medea's sister, nigga. They exposing every motherfucking body. They got TD Jakes fucked up. Now that's fucked up. All that money that nigga done got from God, and they done came out on him.
Okay, so there you have it. He's trying to imply things about Shannon's sexuality, which, why are you going there? Why are you going there? Even if he is, why is that your business or problem? Okay, Lyndon X said nothing but jealousy. Sad to say. It is. That's exactly what it is. Okay, Miss Davis says they hadn't clubbed Shay over 50 million views on Cat alone. Exactly. 10 million on Monique. Mike Epps just wants recognition. Mike Epps wants to go and club Shay Shay. I think he does. But you know what, beloved? I think he wants to go, but I also think he's afraid to go. I think that he wants to go, but is afraid to go or is reluctant to go because of what the haters are saying about Club Shay Shay. That's what I think. And I think he kind of feels like he has to choose a side. You know what I'm saying? And isn't he, in fact, kind of cool with Cat Williams? I mean, not Cat Williams, Kevin Hart. Because remember, he said he called Cat and he called Kevin. So I think he wants to stay neutral and not seem like he's doing something that Kevin Hart is possibly against. I just feel like he doesn't want any backlash from his fellow colleagues who are comedians. That's just what I think. Sierra said he's mad his name wasn't mentioned. He did say that, and I absolutely think he was serious. Even though he said it in a joking manner, I think he was absolutely serious. Reggie says anyone who goes on Club Shay will be exposed due to Cat's interview. Right. Miss Davis says jealousy and envy you cannot support. Exactly. So anyway, with that all being said, honey, I find it all very interesting. Now, let me show you all this clip of Candace Owens because I thought this was funny. This woman came on Candace's show talking about the Bible and prostitutes, saying that they were favored in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so I'm going to share this clip. Make sure I'm pulling the right one. Okay, here we go.
Prostitutes were popular in the Bible. I mean, I went and I took a look and I'm like, what in the world's going on here? So I went and I kind of took a gather at it.
Did you say prostitutes were popular in the Bible?
Yeah, they're mentioned on multiple fronts. So yeah, I'll get into it.
But when you say popular, what do you mean by that?
I'll go right into these verses for you. So King David had like 8 wives, and concubines are sex workers. And he had so many sex workers that he couldn't even keep count. So his body count was apparently way higher than mine, and God condoned it. King Solomon, he married his own daughter, which God condoned. He had 700 wives. He had 300 sex workers, all of which God condoned. Deuteronomy 22:28-29, God instructing a rapist to marry his victim. Genesis 19:16, Lot's wife got turned into a pillar of salt. Adam and Eve, they have 2 males. So we're apparently all descendants from incest.
I would very much be open to suggesting that you enter an actual Bible study.
Candace was trying her best to keep a straight face. She was trying her darndest to keep a straight face. That woman needs to sit all the way down. Reggie said, look at the messenger. Okay. So here's the thing. We know that there was prostitutes back in the old days. because that's like one of the oldest jobs ever. But the thing is, Pretty Wing says she clearly doesn't understand the Bible. Exactly. Danielle said, is this woman for real? Oh, she was very serious. But see, what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to how some people who engage in nefarious, unrighteous, or depraved, or sinister, or unholy acts will then try to go to the Bible to defend themselves. Say, oh, well, the Bible said this. Well, the Bible said that. And she brought up all these things. And the question I have is, what did Lot's wife turning to a pillar of salt have to do with any of this? Questions. But at the end of the day, for those of you who follow my spiritual channel, you do know that most of the stories in the Bible are absolutely allegorical. Allegorical. So does she really think that King Solomon had 700 wives or 500 and 300 concubines and all that? She really believe that? Does anybody really believe that? At the end of the day, that's an allegory. Okay? And let me write that down because that'll remind me, or did I already talk about King Solomon? I think I may have already talked about King Solomon. I've broken down so many of these esoteric stories for you guys, specifically the members of the channel. I think I already talked about that, but if I haven't, let's do so. Okay, so anyway. Oh, Aeon said she lost me for real, okay? So, with that, Queen Sam says, say it right, Queen. Listen, Wig. Okay, yeah, because Wig doesn't call it allegories. She called it algorithm. When she's charging people hundreds of dollars for her webinars, she was telling them it's an algorithm. The Bible is full of algorithms. I'm so sorry y'all wasted your money on that BS. I'm so sorry you wasted your money on that BS. That's because Wig was not doing any research, as I proved to you all with receipts. She was merely copying my spiritual talking points, and she couldn't remember that it was allegory, it's not algorithm, and she was copying another woman or two other people's spiritual stuff as well. One of them was Queen Afua with the Secret Money in the Womb webinar she did. And then there was another lady that talked about the royal ancestral bloodlines, the lady on Instagram. And I can't remember her name, but she was clearly copying her too. Reggie said, we're giving out those plastic cards to unlock your cash. Yes. Had people buying fake debit cards telling them that's how they can manifest and have money and all that. You don't need anything to manifest other than rising to a higher level of consciousness, and doing so when you're in your theta brainwave state, and also focusing with intention on things that you want to actively manifest, and as well using the arts of visualization. All of these things are within you. You don't need to go and buy anything to do so. You don't need fake debit cards, please. All right. Queen Sam says, tell them we don't forget, Queen. Exactly. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's get into it, because I have a video that I want you all to see, and we're going to talk about Arthur McDuffie. For those of you who watched the interview that I did with civil rights activist and former driver for Dr. King, Raymond Fontroy, we talked about Arthur McDuffie. And I know many people hadn't heard his story, so we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to show you some footage. So let's get into it. Please get those likes up. Please like and share, beloveds. Thank you in advance. You all know how they do the Queen. Okay, so here is some of the details. And I must warn you, it can be triggering. So Arthur McDuffie was a 33-year-old insurance salesman. He had been in the Marine Corps. He had no criminal record. And then one evening on December the 17th of 1979, right before Christmas, McDuffie was riding north on Miami Avenue on a black and orange Kawasaki motorcycle that he had borrowed from a friend to visit a girlfriend in South Dade County. On his return north, McDuffie was speeding. A Metro Dade police sergeant named Ira Diggs was sitting in his patrol car at a closed gas station when McDuffie whizzed by. He popped a wheelie and sped off. Now, Diggs took chase and was joined almost immediately by at least 6 other county police cars, chasing McDuffie at speeds that exceeded 100 miles per hour. At the corner of Miami Avenue and Northeast 38th Street, McDuffie stopped. Now, I'm going to say this. Because McDuffie was a law-abiding citizen, I don't believe the part where they say that he went on a high-speed chase. I don't believe that. In fact, I don't believe anything they say because these devils clearly told a whole lot of lies. Okay. Now they say McDuffie was first grabbed by Officer Charles Viverka, who arrived first and pulled McDuffie from the motorcycle. He was holding him in a bear hug as several officers swarmed in. There were no black officers present. They snatched McDuffie from Viverka's arms and attacked him in a frenzy. McDuffie had done a very dangerous thing, even for a white cyclist, they say. He had forced police officers to chase him through the streets at over 100 miles per hour. High-speed chases may play well in the movies, but in real life, cops really don't like to do that. We will never know if McDuffie's race was a factor in the attack. What? I want you to pay attention. They said we may never know if his race was a factor in the attack. So we're supposed to think that they did what they did to this man because he was speeding. Really, it doesn't matter what the reason for it was, because at the end of the day, no matter the reason, he still lost his life and they still got no punishment for it. Okay. But at the end of the day, it was, of course, about his race. But let me continue. It probably was at some level, but what enraged the cops was having to chase him at those speeds. As 6 adrenaline-fueled officers beat him viciously, McDuffie, unarmed, offered no resistance. After his initial beating, the officers handcuffed McDuffie with his hands behind his back. His head was resting against the curb. At this point, a second beating of McDuffie started, probably because he was black. But you just said you don't know if race played a factor. Okay, one of the officers, Alex Marrero, straddled McDuffie's prone body, raised his large flashlight above his head, and struck McDuffie in the back of his head, splitting his skull. I want you to pay attention because they say he raised his flashlight. And when I show you the footage of the courtroom reenactment, you'll see how he supposedly raised his flashlight. The flashlight was made of metal. It was a long silver flashlight. And during my interview with Mr. Raymond Fontroy, he told me what they called it. But I don't recall. I don't remember. But anyway, let me continue. So splitting his skull, McDuffie began to die. Panicked, the officers began to cover up their beating of the victim. They concocted the lie that McDuffie lost control of his motorcycle and fell from the bike, hitting his head on the pavement. Officer William Hanlon admitted later that he kicked McDuffie's motorcycle, stepped on McDuffie's glasses, and placed McDuffie's watch on the road and shot at it with a spare revolver, which he kept strapped to his vehicle. He committed the act, he said, for no other reason than pure vandalism. This is all so crazy. The officers used a marked police vehicle to ride up onto the motorcycle to make it appear that the bike had been damaged when McDuffie lost control. In an attempt to give credence to their lies, they used their nightsticks to break the glass of the gauges, on both sides of the gas tank of the motorcycle. But when the medical examiner, Dr. Ronald Wright, examined the motorcycle, he could not understand why, if the victim fell off the bike, the gauges on both sides of the tank were broken. He also looked at McDuffie's injuries and did not believe they were the result of a fall from a motorcycle. To him, it appeared that McDuffie had been beaten to death. And let me say this. I'll shout out to that medical examiner who you will see in the footage I'm going to show. I'm sure he's likely deceased now because this has been over 40 years ago. But I appreciate the fact that he called out the police's lies. Because in many cases, modern day specifically, these medical examiners will lie for the police. And they'll say that the person died from something that they made up called excited delirium. That's the kind of stuff some of them do. They're in cahoots with the police in some cases. And matter of fact, in many cases. Okay. McDuffie was the father of 2 children. On that Christmas Eve, Officer Charles Ververka was at home with his family. He could not get McDuffie off of his mind. He couldn't get the McDuffie children out of his mind. He called his father, who was a high-ranking officer with the county police department. His father advised Ververka to contact the state attorney, Janet Reno, who became the Attorney General of the United States in the Clinton administration. After he was given immunity from prosecution, Ververka told Reno what exactly happened to McDuffie. As a result, Reno ordered the arrest of 6 Metro-Dade officers. That's Alex Marrero, Ira Diggs, Michael Watts, Mike Meyer, and William Hanlon, all of whom were charged with manslaughter and tampering with evidence. They should have been charged with first-degree murder because this was all premeditated. They purposely did it. And in order for something to reach the level of premeditation, you don't have to plan it a day, a week, and all of that in advance. You can premeditate that you're going to take someone's life within a matter of minutes. Now, with that all being said, Mark Meyer, William Hanlon, all of whom were charged with manslaughter and tampering with evidence. She charged Officer Herbert Evans Jr. with tampering with evidence. Now, Arthur McDuffie was buried December 29th, wearing his full-dress U.S. Marine Corps uniform. The church had standing room only. A large crowd listened to loudspeakers, and the area was awash in the media. The McDuffie children were remarkably composed. At the end of the service, his mother, Eula, dressed in full black, was seen live on the television stations, leaving the church in great distress and calling upon God to take care of it. She had to be supported as she descended the church steps. The street outside the church was filled with television station mobile trucks. Every shriek of Eula's pain echoed through the community. Every shriek of Eula's pain. That's the mother, and I can only imagine. The following day, newspapers showed her anguished face as she was being led from the church. Black Miami seethed, but was not moved to riots. It was not just blacks who were upset about what happened to McDuffie. Many whites and Hispanics expressed concerns too. The local media also demanded justice. But for blacks, McDuffie's death for what amounted to a traffic violation cut deeply. The killing reminded blacks of their own vulnerability and raised new concerns about young black males and their special vulnerability to police abuse, a problem that continues to plague America to this day. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to show you all the footage and then I may come back to this. But I want you all to see this. This is the saddest thing right here. They have children, little children who look like they're in elementary school were also out there protesting. Now, I personally would not have taken children that age to a protest because protests can become dangerous, especially when you have overzealous police there present. Especially when it's a protest about something they have been accused of doing. And so I wouldn't have taken those children there, but I'm going to show you the picture. And then we'll go to the footage. You see those children, they're just babies. They're just babies. And I don't think they should have been there. Bless their little hearts. So now I'm going to go to the footage. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. And I have a few clips. So here's the first one.
It's used as a punishment area. Some of the worst police officers are put in there to punish them, to show that this is where you're going to end up if you defy the administration and so forth. And I think that's what happened I know that's what happened in our department.
In December 1979, Arthur McDuffie went for a late-night motorcycle ride. He failed to stop for a red light, resulting in a high-speed police chase through the streets of the Central District. According to the police report, McDuffie was injured crashing his motorcycle, then violently resisted arrest and was taken to Jackson Memorial Hospital.
They would not let me in to sing. I asked the doctor why. They said to me, "We're working on him. You will be able to see him in a couple of hours." There was 4 hours before I seen Arthur. When I did see Arthur, it was like, this is not Arthur. This is not an accident.
When I went and looked at the motorcycle, and I had some background training in accident reconstruction, I know when a motorcycle slides on its side that the pegs that stick out, the rubber pegs where you rest your feet, should have had worn marks on them from coming in contact with the pavement. I didn't find that. I didn't believe that that motorcycle slid on its side.
What did he die from?
He died as a result of blunt head injuries with destruction of his underlying brain. He was beaten to death.
How hard would someone have to hit someone to inflict such an injury?
Amazingly hard.
Beat my child to death. They beat him to death like a dog. Just like a dog. They beat him to death. They beat up his head like a dog.
We have filed charges today against 5 officers of the Public Safety Department as a result of the tragic killing of Mr. Arthur McDuffie and the ensuing effort to cover up the circumstances surrounding it.
Some of the officers were charged with manslaughter, others with tampering with evidence. One was charged with second-degree murder. The prosecution's case was supported by statements from other officers who had been at the scene that night.
I've given statements to the state attorney's office, and I do plan to testify.
Were you given immunity?
I was today, yes.
What are you guilty of?
I witnessed the incident. I helped cover it up. I lied to the internal review investigators investigating the incident.
We don't intend for a trial to be had where before they go in, they've already said that these men are guilty.
Lawyers for the defendants asked for a change of venue. In the spring of 1980, the trial was moved to Tampa, Florida, and heard by an all-male, all-white jury. The defense maintained that McDuffie had fought violently and that the officers used only the force necessary to subdue him.
My expectation, as was the expectation of everyone in the black community, was that those men would be convicted of killing McDuffie. To us, the evidence appeared to be overwhelming that they were responsible for the death of McDuffie and should have been dealt with accordingly.
On May 17, 1980, the jury gave its verdict.
Madam Clerk, publish the verdicts.
We, the jury at Tampa, Hillsborough County, the 17th day of May, 1980, find the defendant, Alex Marrero, as to second-degree murder, as charged in count 1 of the information, not guilty. We, the jury at Tampa, Hillsborough County, the 17th day of May, 1980, find the defendant, Ira Diggs, as to manslaughter.
The policemen were cleared of all charges.
Not guilty. So say we all.
We knew that a black man had been killed by a policeman. We knew the policemen who were present. And yet when they had the trial of Arthur McDuffie up there, they came back with the verdict of not guilty, that these people were not guilty of murdering this man. And it was just another lynching.
I remember the McDuffie verdict. And I feel that black women who have black sons, they must be fools because there seemingly is no justice for a black man.
So with that all being said, very sad and clearly disturbing. And, I'm not surprised that they were not found guilty. Or that they were found, that they were not found guilty. Because isn't that usually the case? But what I want you to pay attention to before I start the next part, the officers insisted that he fought violently. But at the same time, they say he died due to the motorcycle crash. They say he was injured so badly due to the crash. How does one have a serious motorcycle crash and with severe injuries get up and violently fight? How does that happen? How does that happen? Okay? They were already hostile and aggressive. Queen Sam says, so he was before Rodney King? Yes, this was in 1979. Rodney King was 1992. But here's the thing. They also say that the riots that followed the verdicts was one of the worst in history of this country, only followed by Rodney King's verdict and the riots that ensued after that. Okay, so let's continue. Lights up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
Channel 4 News, Tampa.
I have lost what little faith I've been able to maintain in this system as of today. I think a great many other people will feel the same way.
I think this is one of the worst things that has happened in Miami, and I was bitterly disappointed that people were not held accountable for the act.
I remember the day that the verdict came in, and I could hear the tone of voice of the people on the radios talking about this not guilty verdict that came in against the police officers.
Today, several decisions were handed down in Tampa that shocked many of us, tore a lot of us apart inside, and made us extremely emotional. Somehow, in this town, black people must be able to deal with this in an orderly fashion.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Injustice! Injustice! Injustice!
I really don't believe justice was done, but I feel like in the end it will be done.
And Miami just erupted.
It started before sundown at the Metro Justice Building with a peaceful rally involving both blacks and whites. But as C.T. Taylor tells us in this Live Eye report, it quickly turned to violence.
When the violence started, our reporters and photographers were right there on that spot when it started. Started at the state attorney's office. I remember C.T. Taylor was right in the middle of it, calling the shots and saying, it's about to go down. Get everybody out here.
Community leaders urged the black community to show up here at the Metro Justice Building to show their feelings on the outcome of the so-called McDuffie verdict. And several hundred people did show up. At the start of the demonstration, things were peaceful. But as the crowd grew, tempers began to flare. The Metro Justice Building became the center of frustration. Bricks and bottles were thrown in the window of the Metro Justice Building, and several cars were overturned and burned. The violence quickly spread to surrounding streets. After about 2 hours of uncontrolled activities, police finally moved in the area. Would you recommend that people come to this area for any reason whatsoever?
I would say no. I would say to stay out of the area and wait till calm subsides totally. Tempers are still flaring and, could be problems. Just stay out of the area for the time being.
The Metro Police cleanup crews are in the area right now, and as I said, order is restored in this particular area. However, there are many reports that uncontrolled activity is going on in other parts of Miami.
Almost simultaneously, violence then broke out in other areas. This is Coconut Grove, the black area of the main highway looking like a combat zone. Store windows broken and merchandise looted, cars overturned. All up and down the street, burglar alarms broke the silence of the early morning calm that had finally returned. But it was the black areas of Brownsville and Liberty City in northwest Dade that suffered the most. Fires were set all along several blocks of 27th Avenue. Businesses were looted. Fire officials report responding to 10 major calls. As the violence continued, the number of casualties grew. As we said, 10 persons are known to have been killed, more than 60 injured, some directly involved in the riots, others innocent bystanders, blacks, whites, and Hispanics who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Some were dragged from their smashed cars and beaten.
We've seen all sorts of major trauma, from gunshot wounds, stab wounds, people beaten up every parts of the body, from the head, abdomen, chest, you name it, it's happened.
As far as an emergency medical situation here in Dade County, here in Miami, how bad of a situation does it seem to be?
It's a disaster. It's a war zone. There's a war going out there, and It's one of the worst I've ever seen here.
In all, Jackson treated 12 gunshot wounds, 14 stabbings, and more than 30 other patients with miscellaneous injuries. 10 are said to be in critical condition. The jails, too, were crowded to capacity. By 5:30 this morning, nearly 100 persons have been arrested on a variety of charges, including burglary, looting, and obstruction of justice.
Everything that can be done has been done. We've been in direct communication with the governor.
At the National Guard Armory on 7th Avenue and 28th Street, a force of 700 men was being called out. Only 200 will be sent out at a time, the others when needed.
Being in a major riot, and I did cover a lot of riots, you know, your life is in danger, you're out there. You know, you're worried about, you know, how the police are going to react to you. You know, people are legitimately, in their minds, angry, and you need to tread lightly. It can be an incredibly dangerous and an incredibly confusing time, you know, listening to both sides and trying your best to be objective as a reporter.
Injustice! Injustice! Injustice!
And so began a night of violence in Dade County. The black community's response to the acquittals in the Arthur McDuffie case, ignited by the jury's decision to acquit 4 former Dade Public Safety Department officers of his death. And this afternoon, the fuse is still lit. The toll so far, 9 persons killed, 120 injured, and as many as 100 persons arrested. Damage alone will no doubt run into the millions.
On 36th Street and 22nd Avenue, vans and cars were strewn on the side of the road. Some were burned out. Many storefronts were demolished. Some furniture was littering the sidewalks. Broken glass was everywhere. National Guardsmen drove silently through the streets, surveying the damage. Their rifles were pointed up in the air to let anyone know that they were armed and ready for trouble. But it never came. All they found was evidence of the rioting and looting that was so rampant just hours before. The Guardsmen were the first to see close up the extent of the destruction. It looked like a war zone. Off 27th Avenue and 62nd Street, huge billows of black smoke filled the sky. The fires burned out of control. Metro fire units were unable to respond to their calls in some neighborhoods because the police couldn't guarantee their safety. On almost every block of 27th Avenue between 36th Street and 79th Street, the scars of the McDuffie riot were burning deep into the community.
1980 has been a difficult year for Eula Bell McDuffie. In Tampa, she testified in the trial of 5 Metro police officers charged with the beating death of her son. And she had to live with a verdict which touched off 3 days of racial rioting in Liberty City. In the midst of the rioting, Mrs. McDuffie went on Channel 4 and pleaded for an end to the violence.
It was a horrible time, and it changed the face of Miami. Probably one of the most interesting parts of it. You had McDuffie riot, and then you had Mariel. And at the same time, you had 100,000 Haitians come in. It was just an incredible time, 1980.
So with that all being said, for those of you who did watch the exclusive interview, you will recall that Mr. Raymond Fontroy was right there when all of that went down. And in fact, he's the one who got the family together to go down there to Tampa, because they moved for a change of venue. So they didn't want to have the trial in Miami. So they took it to Tampa. And Mr. Raymond Fontroy is the one who found housing for the family members to stay at when they went down there. And he said they had to stay at the homes of other Black people because they were not welcome at the hotels. Okay? They were not welcome at the hotel. So he was right down there in the midst of all of that when that was all going on. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next part. Everyone, please get those likes up.
Fairmile area called Liberty City. Few dared to venture inside, but police did manage to arrest some men accused of being snipers. By early Sunday evening, smoke from fires set by the looters and vandals could be seen for miles. Up close, it was more intense. Eyewitnesses say people would break into a store, take what they wanted, invite others to steal also, then burn the place. As of midnight, 51 major fires burned out of control.
We've sent fire units in accompanied by police officers. They've had to withdraw because of sniper fire and other acts of violence directed to them.
Victims of the violence continued to come to local emergency rooms into the night. Doctors and nurses were working overtime to take care of them. Unlike Saturday night, when most of the victims were whites beaten by blacks, yesterday, patients were generally blacks shot or stabbed by other blacks.
I think they, in the last 8 to 10, in the last 24 hours, have been able to assemble some armaments, whoever it is, and are now shooting each other.
And more people died yesterday. This 14-year-old boy was shot to death as he was walking the streets. The violence was set off when 4 white police officers were found not guilty of killing Arthur McDuffie, a Miami insurance man. His mother, Eula McDuffie, says she does not condone the violence.
Oh, I don't think it's right that people should be in the street doing that. But I still believe that justice should be done.
As the violence continues, liquor and gun sales have been banned, schools have been closed, and there is an 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew here.
Okay, so here's what I want you all to pay attention to, beloveds. Now, they said that on the day before, hold on, let me put this comment up on the screen. They said that on the day before, most of the people injured were white people. And then they said the next day, the black people were shooting and stabbing themselves, each other. Not true. That's not true. The next day, white people were shooting and stabbing them. Okay? That's who was doing this. All right? Because if you go back to the video that I did, the interview with Mr. Raymond Fontroy, it was white people riding past shooting. They want to act like it was black people shooting at each other, doing a whole riot when they're mad over the death of a black man, the murder of a black man. They're shooting and stabbing themselves. No. You see, that was other white people came to join in the melee and to enact revenge for the white people who were injured the day before. That's what that was. I mean, the lies they tell. Deanna said, quit asking for the victims of these murders to ask for calm. Have the perpetrators get on the television and beg for it. Exactly. I absolutely agree. But they always want black folk to get up there and do it. Or the family members or loved ones of the people. Because in the case of George Floyd, he had a white fiance, but they had her get up there and ask for peace. She said George would have wanted us to not be rioting and all of that. How's she going to speak for George? How's she going to speak for him? Okay. And so now I have 2 more clips. They're like 2.5 minutes each. Okay. One is of his mother, Eula McDuffie, speaking and asking for peace. And then the next one is 30 years after this all happened.
Cooperate with him every way possible. People want Shannon to step aside. And there are now 9 or 10 people dead. And that could be twice that many by tomorrow morning. And it seems to me that rather than going on and on about Shannon is your community, to step one single event and allow Shannon temporarily standing aside on that office to be investigated and save lives tonight. I pray that Janet will do that for the good of this community.
Again, Dade State Attorney Janet Reno rejected the demand that she resign. Several of the elected officials attending today's meeting have offered to go into the trouble zones tonight to quell any disturbances that may occur. This is C.T. Taylor, Channel 4 News reporting.
Ladies and gentlemen, the mother of Arthur McDuffie has just arrived in the Channel 4 studios. Mrs. Eula McDuffie, what are your feelings in the wake of the incidents of the past 24 hours? How do you feel, and what would you like to say to the people of Miami?
Well, I feel very bad about what's happening. I think they should cut it out now. And let's get together and try to talk it over those leaders and the state people. You know, the hate people. They can do something about what they are driving about. Because this ain't gonna solve the problem. And furthermore, I think we should cut out because too many people didn't kill her, but I don't believe in that. I don't believe in killing up nobody. But it's going too far, and I ask these people and beg them with tears in my eyes to quit this. You quit this. and look to God. That's who they need to look to. Because if there'd been no God, this wouldn't even happen. It wouldn't happen. If they don't have no God, he would die. And they died from doing terrible things. You just need to look to God. That's what I would like to say to the community people that are doing this in the community. Quit that. Quit that. Cut it out. It ain't no good. It ain't no good. And you have did enough. You have did enough to stir up the people and let them know what they need. It's time to stop. It's time to stop. They're killing up people. They got children, a lot of children. Farmers got children to look out for. And they just need to cut it out.
Mrs. McDuffie, thank you very much for appearing in our studios tonight.
That's the only reason they brought her on there. They didn't ask her one thing about how she was dealing with the fact that her son was murdered and that his murderers got away with it scot-free. They didn't ask her anything about that. They didn't ask her how his children are dealing with it. They didn't say anything about that. All they brought her on there for is the same thing they always do, for her to ask for peace. If I were her, I'd have looked straight into that camera and said, do whatever you have to do. I'm not calling for peace. Do what you feel you got to do. Because like Dr. King said, riots are the actions of the voices unheard or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But yes, okay? That's what that is. At the end of the day, those cops got no consequences and people were very upset and they had a right to be. All right. And Reggie said, why would they tear up and loot their own neighborhoods? Here's the thing, beloved. Mr. Fontroy said that those businesses that were burned down, those belong to white people that were in their neighborhoods. And so that's likely why they did that. And after they left, after it was all over with, they didn't, build up businesses for black folk. That's what they didn't do, as they had done when they got rid of the people in Miami and brought in all the Cubans. Okay, Mari says, I wonder if she ever thought, where was God, where he didn't save her, when he didn't save her son, nor persuade the jury to have done right. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the same thing, beloved, when she said they need to look to God, and if they had more God in them, they wouldn't be acting that way. Well, she should have said that about the thugs who called themselves officers that took the life of her son and then lied about it and covered it all up and then also got away with it scot-free. She should have said that about them because clearly they're the ones who didn't have any God in them. Those people were angry and upset because they were mad about what happened to her son. But see, this is what many of our people do. They throw them a few dollars and get them to be quiet or to get up there and stand in front of a camera and say what they want them to say. Okay, and say what they want them to say. Now, this video is 30 years after.
American community like Lion Tackle the Bear. I'll go interview him.
They need to be aware of how and why changes have come about. I don't want to sound like a radical, but maybe because we've been so quiet since that time. I'm sure if we had other situations like that we would get faster answers. It began as a rock throwing incident, folk throwing rocks at vehicles going by, and I think that was an expression of frustration. What else can we do? The police always, I think, used more force than necessary.
And he was a good friend, real neat person. Always clean, dressed real neat. I was mad myself. You could really feel it because he didn't deserve that. They beat him down like a little dog or something. It was really rough on the community. They ran everyone off the street. They came in a martial law, I believe that's what they call it. And then anybody they catch on the street, they either put them in jail or...
And if you violate that curfew like they got for these young people, the young teenagers now, you got arrested for it. Even though you might not stay in jail long, but you got arrested for violating the curfew.
Everything was on fire. Everything was burning up. Buildings were burning up. People was running. Cars were burning up.
And Norton Tires burnt down for like what? a week and a half or whatever long it burned.
Everything was broken into, smoke everywhere, police is everywhere, bottles and rocks at the police and everything. I mean, it was messed up all over. It's not the same no more. It's more like a ghost town.
The final results of it was surprising because it really affected the neighborhood. It almost put us in a situation of siege.
It's better for them since that because he opened the doors and many places that were closed to blacks. But right now you see how times are hard now, so it's rough, but it's changed.
Okay, so with that all being said, I want you to pay attention because the elder that spoke in the beginning said that it all started over a rock throwing. You see, over a rock being thrown. And that's what Mr. Fontroy told us. Mr. Fontroy said in the interview that they brought in paid provocateurs to throw rocks. And that's what started the whole thing because then the police retaliated. But it was all set up because they paid people to come in there and do that. You see, prior to the sentencing or the trial, they were peacefully protesting. And there wasn't any of this going on. But at the end of the day, they definitely brought in paid provocateurs. And that's the same thing I told you all back in 2020 with the protests involving the death of George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd, that some of those people were paid provocateurs. I even showed you the receipts where they had a whole website where they were offering to pay money for people to go and do those things. So I told you, literally paid provocateurs. Now, as to what Dr. King said, he said, a riot is the language of the unheard. And what is it America has failed to hear? Okay, that's what he said. Now, with that all being said, I want to show you all a couple more videos. They're like 40 minutes a piece. It's like 3 of them. But I want you to pay attention to this. And then I'm out of here. I want you all to pay attention to this because this is why I can't take some of our people seriously, okay, in 2024. This is absolutely why I can't take some of our people seriously. All right. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, now that was a skit, but I'm going to show you what he was doing a parody of, which is also nefarious, okay? RG Titan said, just like when Bussy Reek was the main provocateur at one of the Oakland reparations hearings, shaking my head. Yes, he absolutely was, okay? He was in there being disruptive, and I think that was all by design too, like you said, a provocateur, okay? Because I absolutely think that he works with the feds. So with that all being said, if you all don't know what we're talking about, that's the one where he went there for the reparations meeting or whatever. And he got into it with someone in the crowd. And then he's acting like he's going to fight and all that. He wasn't going to bust a grape at a fruit fight in reality. And then his security's holding him back and all that. Like really not even holding him back, just touching him. And so acting like he's all Billy Bad arse. Please pay attention. But here's why I can't take people seriously. And this is also what he was parodying. why I can't take some of our people serious, okay? It's a whole protest and you out there crumping. Why? Tyrone and Becky. Was that Becky or Felicia? It kind of looked like Becky, so I'm not sure. But out there crumping, and I've seen some foolish black women out there twerking. What is that doing to help the cause? See, I can't take these people seriously. Where are the Huey P. Newtons? I'm sorry. Make it all make sense. This is what we have to deal with. Foolishness. And then they were clowning the black cop, saying that he had a little shield. They said, little shield, ace ninja. And he couldn't get the big shields, and laughing. Why are you laughing? It's a whole protest because someone has been beaten to a pulp by the police. Can't take these people seriously. Okay? Let's not forget, this is the same generation, okay, of imbeciles in some cases who listen to people like Sukiyana and Sexy Red and watch and admire Krishan Rock. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. These people are not highly conscious, many of them. They're fools and idiots and buffoons. And so this is what we have. And this is why you absolutely cannot take it seriously. Juju B said, I confirmed it was Felicia. Okay, you confirmed it? Okay, thank you. Okay, Reggie said, lest we forget. Absolutely. Chicago News 101 said, remember the black teen in Chicago staring at the police, but found out he was a police youth training? Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy? Since this is what they do. Maurice said they were given a message through dance. Really? Is that how we're going to get to freedom? We're going to dance our way through freedom? That's what we're going to do? But they need to sit down somewhere because they make fools of themselves. And I, like I said, cannot take them seriously. With that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want you all to like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. I'm making sure there's nothing else I have to show. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Each one, teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And for those of you who follow the spiritual channel, I will be uploading something for you today. It will premiere at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so until then, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloved, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor.
Sold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now.
That's
See
right.
a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy.
Real slick.
I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them in.
Okay, listen, you guys. Listen, I just got some important news. Okay, I just got some important news. So they say that Shannon Sharpe, this came out like 35 minutes ago. They say Shannon Sharpe rips Mike Epps for lying on him. So let's talk about it before we roll out. Let's talk about it. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Now, here's what they say. Lillian said, thank you for your hard work, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Queen Sam said the same thing. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so now listen, here's what they're saying. The war of words between Shannon Sharpe and Mike Epps erupted after Epps made derogatory comments about Sharpe's podcast, Club Shay Shay. Sharpe fired back, defending himself and threatening to release DMs. The future of their relationship remains uncertain as fans await the next developments. A war of words. Hold on. I'm sorry. Okay, I read that already. Okay, they said it all started when Mike Epps took aim at Shannon Sharpe during a recent comedy performance. Epps accused Sharpe of being gay and expressed frustration over comments made about him on Club Shay Shay. However, it's important to note that the remarks in question were not made by Sharpe himself. This did little to quell the brewing storm, as Sharpe was quick to respond. In a fiery rebuttal on Nightcap, Sharpe defended himself and his podcast, calling out Epps for lying about him reaching out to him for an interview. Sharpe went on to threaten to release DMs, further fueling the flames of their heated exchange. He also voiced his frustration over Epps' accusation and made it clear that he would not stand idly by while his character was attacked. As of now, it remains unclear of whether Epps will respond to Sharpe's challenge, if they will address the issue on Club Shay Shay. Fans and critics are left to wonder if this war of words will lead to a resolution or further escalation. Regardless of the outcome, one thing is certain. The situation has shed light on the power of words and the importance of standing up for oneself. The exchange between Sharpe and Epps serves as a reminder that even in the world of entertainment, personal attacks can have lasting consequences. As the dust settles on the verbal showdown, it's evident that both parties have dug in their heels, leaving fans to await the next chapter and this unfolding story. Mike Epps made derogatory comments about the podcast or whatever. So this is all nefarious. All right, I want y'all to pay attention. So with that all being said, let's go ahead. Warrior said, oh, Mike Epps is a whole hater. Yes. Didn't I tell you all he was hating? He was clearly hating, okay? So with that all being said, everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. And until next time, beloveds, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Nobody knows why liars lie. Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. It's God's side and the other side. Country bumpkin, black blue, that can't go good. Okay, bitch, and look like Mr. Potato Head. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star. Ricky Smiley can't act, cause Ricky Smiley can't act. Why is he in a dress again? He didn't be wanting to Barbie, and you gotta tell him no. Said ain't got no special, you remember? Steve ain't got no special, you remember? Ricky ain't got no special, you remember? Sir, I have 12 comedy specials. If you did or whoever you is, TVJ, 10 of them, I won't stop burning you down until there ain't